right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Browns, Cole. Let's talk
Oh,
about it.
let's get it. Let's
You
get it
gonna put
together.
a sad? I'm not doing it today. Oh, you got to do a sad orange. It's a sad.
Sad orange.
It's
Sad
a burnt
orange.
orange.
Oh, let's see if I can get it. Let's see if I can get something different. Yeah, we gonna go with this one. We're gonna go with this one.
Is that red? Because that's what the Ravens defense saw all day when they looked at DTR. It was red. It was.
Oh Lord.
I hope DTR didn't invite his family to that game so that Roquan could have delivered on that
Man.
promise.
I really hope they wasn't there.
Hey
I
man,
really hope they
I'm not gonna lie to you. My son, I would be watching that game to the end if it was my son. If that's my cousin, I'm gonna be on red zone for the second half, bro. Like I'm gonna check in if it get better. like, you know what I mean? Like,
I ain't trying to watch you get beat up on all night. Come on, man.
it's not even that. I ain't trying to watch that bullshit. Like, you out here throwing some bullshit. All right, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that happens.
Oh,
Hey, a lot of people invite their family to their high school game and they see them leave at halftime with everybody else. How you change your clothes? What you mean you ate? You was at the game, right? Yeah. Yeah, DTR had a rough one. But all jokes aside, that's like the least important thing that happened in that game. Because, hey man, if DTR stinks or if DTR can't play right now, it's the least of my problems. If DTR has to play, that's the bigger problem. We would all agree. And the question I have here is like, what is actually going on with Watson's shoulder? I don't think they've been transparent. And then they've been transparent on some things that like don't feel like the full picture of what we're getting. And it just feels weird, whatever's going on with the shoulder. And the thing I'm concerned about is like, he's made no progress since Tuesday.
my thing about it is this. From my understanding, they said that he was gonna play all week. He's gonna play. He's gonna
I'm
go. He's gonna
100%
play.
convinced that the people on the team, the coaches, and the medical staff were convinced that he was going to play.
He goes to the stadium early. Want to get a little workout in, a little stretch in. You see how he feels. A couple hours for the game, they're like, he ain't playing.
So I heard the workout didn't look good.
What I would have done, and this is just me, if you knew he wasn't, if you knew he didn't look right earlier on in the week, they should have just scrapped it right then and there instead of bringing everybody through this.
Here's the thing. I was thinking about that too. But then I thought to myself, that feels like something I can only say knowing everything that happened. Because in the moment, nobody was on Monday saying, hey, we should just have him out for the whole week right now. We should just, instead of having this be a question, because let's put it in a different context, right? If this were concussion protocol, we wouldn't even be thinking about it. We'd be like, hey man, whatever, is he going to be able to clear it? Like we'd be on pins and needles all week. And this was a similar situation where like, you just don't know what his availability is going to be like because you're waiting for something to heal. Whatever that something is, you're just waiting for it to heal. And it's within the time frame that he could play today or he could not. And it's like, I think they were just in a tough spot. Like, I think they had to wait for Watson. And it was more about how he feels and how he can throw the ball more than it was about the structural damage in the shoulder. And I think the bigger lesson from this, because like, it's just one game. The bigger lesson from this is, I hope the lesson that DESHAUN and Kevin learned was they have to be careful with how they use him from now on instead of, oh, DESHAUN should have just played, right? Because there were shots where I was looking at DESHAUN, you could tell DESHAUN was just like, damn, bro. Like, he felt like you could see the doubt in there where he's like, man, I could have been better than this today, right? Like, when he was out there, especially when DTR threw that last interception, he was visibly like,
he literally had the pad. He was just like, Like he was just like, come on, man. But this is my thing. I want to say this because obviously Browns fans and some people in the media were like upset that he didn't play. Um, they made the right call
Yeah.
because we know how the Baker situation went 2021 with the shoulder. We don't have to like rehash all like who
And
wanted what
that's
to happen and all that good stuff. They shut him down. They should have shut him down.
and that's my main point is I hope the lesson they learned was we got to make sure we don't even put ourselves in this position anymore. I fear that the lesson they learned was we just going to throw Deshaun. Like the lesson that Deshaun learned and Kevin learned was I'm going to just throw myself out there because it's got to be better than whatever that was. I really hope that's not the lesson they took away from this because I know people are like, hey, Josh Allen does it. Or, hey, this is what running quarterbacks. He's 28 years old. He can't do that shit no more. Your body just don't bounce back like that no more. Like in your late 20s. Like when you're 25, you can pop your elbow and pop that thing back in. You play like Greg Newsom, right? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure he fractured his elbow. He just played on it and was able to pop back in because your body's like that when you're 25. But those 3 years between 25 and 28 are real. And just because he didn't play no football doesn't mean that the body doesn't age, right? Like your body ages regardless of your play. I'm 28. My body's cooked. I haven't played football. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like I played 0 years in the NFL. My body's still cooked. I hate when people are like, well, he's 30, but he hasn't taken that many snaps. You still age, dog. Like, why people act like you don't age just because you ain't played on football? Like,
fans are nuts. The fans don't. The fans only care about
this. Ain't even be fans. Dog. This be analysts that be saying this too. Where it's like we get so wrapped up in the football bubble that we forget that these are people and people age, dog. Like. And that was the thing I was bringing on. Like, yeah, I know Deshaun hadn't played for 2 years, so he doesn't have 2 years worth of hits on him. So that's good for like those chronic injuries. But like, he still ages. Like he wasn't in a cryo tube for 2 years. Like it got defrosted once he got traded to the Browns. That man was still existing, still aging. Right. So he's older. He's 28. Like his body's not going to bounce back. He can't tell to himself, oh, I'm really 26 in football years. It's not a thing. He's 28. Like, which means he just can't do that. Whatever check was in there that was like, hey, Deshaun, we want you to run right up the middle. He needs to understand because that check's going to have to be in there. It's a good check to have. But he needs to understand if I check to this, I have to either slide before contact or be so sure that it's going to be wide open that I'm not going to take any contact. The check can still be in there, but it has to be up to him on how cautious he wants to be with it. He's just not cautious enough. And some of this is on Kevin, but I'm going to tell you right now, the bulk of this is on Deshaun Watson. Because he's the one that has to slide. He's the one that has to decide if I want to check to a run. He's the one that, if he runs the ball, decides if he wants to go down or go out of bounds. And far too often, he tries to make the big play and throw his body in there. And I understand that's his mentality. And that's why guys respect and love him in the NFL. And that's how he's always played football. But it can't last forever. Brett Favre did not play that way forever, right? You look at young Brett Favre, people will forget that man used to play running back in high school, right? Like, and young Brett Favre, MVP Brett Favre in the 90s used to play football like that. The Brett Favre me and you grew up with didn't do that shit. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers, same thing with Ben Roethlisberger, same thing with a number of different quarterbacks. You have to learn that at some point, Pat Mahomes is another great example. That man still run, but you know when Pat run, when he know he ain't getting touched. Pat ain't trying to juke nobody no more. You know what I mean? Pat ain't trying to get 12 the hard way. Pat trying to get a layup. You know what I mean? Like, let me get a layup. I'm not trying to get and one right now. You know what I mean? That's what Pat does. That's what Deshaun has to do. He's taking way too many hits in the pocket. He's taking way too many hits as a runner. And he's taking gnarly, nasty, violent hits every game. And I know his body has been used to being this iron cast mold that it's been, but he can't do that anymore. Like he can't do that as much as he can and expect to make it through a season. And I hope this was the wake up call, and I hope that's what they understand. Instead, But I'm so scared right now, Kobe, that the lesson that was learned there was I got to put my body at more risk.
Unfortunately, we not gonna know what lesson was learned until we watch the rest of these games.
Here's the one thing about Browns fans. The first time Deshaun Watson decides to take a slide before he gets a first down, we are going to cheer that.
Absolutely. Thank you for not taking hits. Thank you for being responsible, sir. We appreciate it.
Look, man, we'll get the first down a different way. Like, you don't need to, slide. Slide. We appreciate that you realized you couldn't play and you didn't put you thought, I think everybody else thought DTR was going to be all right. And that didn't happen. Okay. I understand that. That backfired. But please learn the right lesson. And the right lesson is, what do you have to do to not be in this situation? And that is to play a safer style of football. Because Nick Chubb ain't walking through that door, Cole. And Nick Chubb been saving some people for a very long time. Nick Chubb has made everybody look good, right? Hey, if you, Kevin, you want to call something, give it to Nick Chubb. There's no effort, give it to this person anymore. Like, that's just not there. That button that you want to hit, people were talking about easy plays. Kevin should have schemed up some easy plays. How are you going to scheme up easy plays when you have nobody who stresses the defense? Now, I don't think people understand that. Nick Chubb being out there makes it easy for you to get easy plays because he's such a good runner at the football. You don't have that. Nobody fears anything when it's DTR and Jerome Ford back there in the backfield. So there's no easy plays to be made. And it's the Ravens, dog. Like, even if there were, it's not going to happen versus them. The offensive line, I think, has been, look, for a couple of years now, we've been saying, Wyatt Teller ain't who he was in 2020.
Listen, man.
Jet Wills ain't who he was in 2020.
We got to have an honest conversation about that offensive line. There's one thing I know about Andrew Berry is this. If somebody's underperforming, anybody on the football team is underperforming, he is going to replace you at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Wyatt Teller make a whole bunch of money. Jed making a little bit of chunk of change too.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Wyatt's the bigger problem.
He is 100%. He has to go.
Yeah, like Wyatt, like if he does not play better, because right now he's not even a good run blocker. And he's always been a pretty decent pass blocker and a really great run blocker. Right now he's not even that. And it's like,
how much money?
Hey, man.
20 million a year or something like that? Gotta go.
Maybe we could pawn him off on the Bengals.
You could definitely sell him because he's been an all-pro prior to this. You could sell him to another team. You probably get something decent for him too, to be honest with you.
But Wyatt Teller, that's been an issue. Jed Wills, like, it's well documented, but like, he's just being Jed Wills. Like, this is the same shit we've complained about Jed Wills for like the last 2 years. I don't think honestly, I thought he was better the last couple of games because he's been getting beat more predictably, like in predictable ways. So he's been better with like riding guys' shoulder and like making sure the quarterback doesn't get hit. I don't really think Jed's been the issue that people have been wanting to make him out to be. I really do think it's been Wyatt though. Like, Wyatt has been a problem on screens. This offensive line as a whole, they're not working together great as a unit. It's not good. Are you worried about this defense at all?
No. But I'm keeping it short, but like a lot of those points they gave up, to be honest with you, were on DTR. He put them in terrible spots. He put them in like that first pick, the Ravens ended up on the 10-yard line or something like that. They scored immediately first play. Lamar just ran it in. Like, there's nothing they could do about that. There were a couple of those longer drives I was watching. I was like, but Lamar.
Yeah, they were biting real heavy on some like play action, right? And they got Lamar Jackson. So
you got to.
They can look. The Ravens can scheme up some easy stuff because they have Lamar Jackson, which means that they have something that the defense has to respect. And the Browns, like DTR, I don't care what he does. Nobody gonna be like, oh God, he got the ball. Like, nobody's doing that. Nobody's sweating about Amari Cooper. Like, he's not like he's a good player, but he's never been like that. He's never been like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Amari Cooper's coming to town, right? Like, there've been 2 players on this offensive roster that have made people feel that way at any point in their career. It's Deshaun Watson. It's a Nick Chubb. Those are only 2. So those 2. One of those 2 have to be on the field if you want to win the game, like offensively against a good team. So that's what it is with the Browns. Look, I think the bye week came at a perfect time for them. And I think we're still in wait and see mode with this team. I think they're 2-2. We've seen some good. We've seen some bad. I think everybody's trying to make a declaration, like always, in October and September. But there's no rush. There's no rush. We have no idea. We just need to wait, see what they do. And, we'll have a better idea of what this team is. I think, again, it's like any team. We didn't know what that Browns team really was last year till like mid-November. It's going to be the same thing this year. And that's just what's going to be. But that's it for this video. Y'all check it out.